Oh yeah, privacy policies today. Is somebody watching you? Yes. Are they collecting data on you? Yes. Are they complying with the CAN-SPAM Act? Are they complying with California's very strict privacy laws concerning tracking data of children? My name is Chance Reynolds. I'm a business attorney, and this is kind of the realm in which I live, unfortunately. Privacy policies, it's legal compliance week, even though it kind of lasted 2 weeks. This is the fifth video on legal compliance. I've covered all sorts of stuff on legal compliance in the previous 4 videos, terms and conditions, LLCs, all sorts of liability protection issues. Now privacy policies, there's something else in there that I did, but I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. But privacy policies are super duper important. And if you read the post that accompanies this video, maybe it's down there, I'm not sure if it's up or down. If you've read that post, you know that pretty much every type of website has to have a privacy policy. It's not like it's mandated that if you have a blog and you're just doodling away like journaling or something that you have to have a privacy policy. But if you have any sort of like pixel on your website, meaning you track any data about anyone who visits your site, or you're collecting any email addresses, which most of you probably are if you're watching this. If you have a website, you should be doing that. I realize I'm clicking my pen right next to the mic. I'll stop doing that. I have a quick little presentation. Privacy policies really aren't as complicated as you would think they would be. They're somewhat simplistic, but it's something you still have to do. So I'm going to talk about what data is, because that's kind of what privacy policies are concerned with. What is OPA, which is the California law? Oh, what's it actually stand for? The California Online Children's Privacy Protection Act. And you need to just make sure that you're complying with that. If you're reaching anyone in California, or really anywhere in the United States, you have to make sure that you are not targeting children under the age of 13 without meeting certain guidelines. Most of you probably don't have to worry about that, but I'm also going to talk about where your privacy policy links should be on your website. I'm going to talk about what reasonableness means as far as security for your website. And reasonableness is kind of just a legal standard of the steps that you have to take that are like a similar person standing in your shoes. What would they do to secure the information that's being given to them from website visitors? Also, if this is all just like too much for you, I can give you I can create a privacy policy for you. It's not that hard. I'll do it for free. You're gonna have to give me your email address, which does, my privacy policy does comply with all these laws. So I will give you a privacy policy and create one for you in exchange for you getting on my email list. So, okay, data. So what type of information is being collected from your website and visitors? That's all this means. Like if you have like a Facebook pixel on your website, that just means that you're collecting data from people that are visiting your website. So you have to disclose that in your privacy policy. So that could be IP addresses, meaning you're actually getting the IP address of the person who's coming onto your site, and you're maybe putting a cookie or something on, you're using a tracking cookie to track them. If you're getting their name, their email, their phone number, anything like that, obviously you can't get that stuff just by happenstance that they come to your website. You can get their IP address. You can put a cookie on their, track them with a tracking cookie. But if you have any sort of offer where you're collecting a name, an email address, a phone number, all this stuff is the data that privacy policies are concerned with. So it has to meet this specific guideline. So under OPA, privacy policies must contain certain information, including the following: personally identifying information collected. You have to tell them what type of information you are collecting from them. Make that very clear in your privacy policy. The categories of the parties with whom this personally identifying information may be shared. So this just means, like, if you're collecting emails and then you're going to like rent that list out to somebody else, maybe an affiliate offer, maybe you're doing something like solo ads. If you don't know what that is, it means like someone will pay you to run their offer to your email list. So it's kind of more targeted than like Facebook ads or something like that, or Twitter ads, YouTube ads, whatever. You can build a list of like specific people that have opted in for a certain thing, You kind of put them into a category, and then you can target them through this thing called solo ads. If you're going to be doing that, you have to disclose that in your privacy policy that you might be sharing this sort of information with somebody. So that's super important, and I don't see a lot of people doing that. Probably because it's just kind of a weird little industry and people don't understand it and they don't really want to do it. So they just don't do it. They don't want to take the time. They assume they won't get caught. So that's what that means. And the process for notifying users of material changes to the applicable privacy policy. Most of the time with this, what you'll want to do is just say, come back to this link where this privacy policy is. And at the top, you'll have a last updated, little headline at the top that has the date. That it's been actually updated. That's generally good enough. You don't normally have to actually email them. If you're collecting a lot of data and you're kind of doing some weird stuff with it, you might want to put in there that you're going to send them an email anytime that you adapt that privacy policy, and then just shoot them an email. I mean, if you're dealing with that many emails, you're sophisticated enough to figure out exactly how to comply with that aspect of it. So those are kind of just the broad strokes of how to make sure that you're complying with that. So where should it be linked? You need to have your privacy policy linked on every page of your website, especially landing pages. And this is like where people don't do it, because a lot of times you're building a landing page. The whole purpose of that landing page is just to direct the visitor to do one thing. That's to give you some information in exchange for something that you're going to give them. A lot of the times when people are building these landing pages, that's one thing that they forget to do is link up their terms and conditions and link up their privacy policy. It should be one of the first things you do. And you should kind of have a little checklist when you build a landing page, like that you can check off. Are my terms checked? Are all the links on the page? Every time you build a landing page, you have to make sure everything's working on it. And you kind of want most of the time your landing page to be minimal ways for visitors to go somewhere else. So just at the bottom of the page, even if you don't have a link to the home page of the website, you need to have terms and conditions and privacy policy, and Facebook requires that if you're running any ads. I think they also require that there's a navigation back to the home page, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I know that they require terms and conditions links and privacy policy links. So that's just a good practice to do that. And if you're not doing that, just kind of put that on your list of to-dos to go back and check all of your landing pages to make sure those things are covered. And we talked about this a little bit. So what is reasonable? Privacy policies can be extremely short and to the point. All you need to do is just tell them the certain things that we've talked about, lay them out. It can be one page. It could be 9 little clauses on one page, just numbered 1 through 9. And normally that will be enough. But once you collect that information, you have to make sure that you've taken the reasonable steps to secure that information. Now, this isn't necessarily part of a privacy policy, but this is just good business, and this will keep you from getting fined on the backside if there's some sort of security breach. So hacks happen. Sometimes you can lose information. Sometimes somebody will get into your system and get your information. And if you've done all of the things that a normal person in business would do and would expect, what you would expect them to do as far as protecting your information, that's what's considered reasonable. So a reasonable, like-minded person in your position in some other business, what are they doing to protect that information? That's what you need to do. So you need to make sure that you have, your SSL certification, make sure that you're keeping all of your information like secure, not just like open where anybody can get to it, and just act reasonably. It's not that hard. And I see people that just aren't acting reasonably. And one thing that's reasonable is that people can access your privacy policy, and that you at least have a privacy policy that's somewhat specific to you. It can almost be a copy and paste type situation, but you can't actually copy and paste because that's copyright infringement. That in itself can get you sued. And if you don't believe me, there are attorneys that go out and just search for those things. It's not hard for them to find out if you've copied and pasted, because they can just copy and paste it and then Google it, and it will lead right to your website. And then you'll get a cease and desist and a demand that you pay $1,500 or whatever. And it happens every day, all the time. So don't just straight up copy and paste. Again, I've already told you, you can come to me to get it. You can go to, I'll get to the how you reach me in a second. You could comment on this post and I will help you out. So we talked about what data is, how to comply with the specific laws that you need to comply with, and where you have to put the links on every page, what reasonableness means. And that's really the biggest piece of this, is be a reasonable business person. Think about what you would want someone to do with your information, and then act that way. And if you know that you're unreasonable, then don't use yourself as a guideline. Use someone that you know that is reasonable. What would they want? What would your grandma want, with her information, whatever. And if you want to get one from me for free, go to llcfreedom.com/group, get in my group, and then just post in there that you'd like to get it, or go to chance@llcfreedom.com, email me there rather, and I would be more than happy to give that to you. So Legal Compliance Week, it's over. It took 2 weeks, but I did get through it. Let me know what you want me to cover next. I'm tossing around a couple of ideas, but I'm not exactly sure where I want to go from here. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to start talking a little bit about how to incorporate affiliate offers into your courses, into your business, into your coaching, whatever it is that you're doing, and how to work affiliate offers into those things. And in order to do that, since I haven't done a whole lot of that, I will be interviewing some experts on that. I know a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And that's kind of what I hope to talk about next week. So either way, privacy policies, if you want one, let me know. I'd be happy to help you out. And I will be back to talk to all of you beautiful people tomorrow.